This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill. It is not a lie. Oh my God, what the fuck? This is so cooked. This is beyond cooked. Well done. Burn. On the fucking cast iron. Couldn't even get it off. Holy shit. Are we being dead ass? This is not a drill.
Nearly 100,000 trucks have entered Gaza. Since the beginning of the aid mission, Israel has been...
What? Dude, holy shit. Propaganda in our lifetimes in real time. We used to learn about this shit in social studies, bro. And how people would just get manipulated. We used to think like, how the fuck can people even believe that shit? Like, look what it's happening in front of us. It's not a drill. It's not fake. I thought it was fake too.
Hey, Shalom, it's your brother Yonathan. Alright, first and foremost, I want to give all praises to the Most High, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Rakah, Dash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say Shalom to all the brothers, of course, the few sisters pursuing this truth and sincerity. Alright, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Now, Babylon the Great, or the daughter of Babylon, has always been a dystopia for the children of Israel. It's always been a fucked up society, but it's getting to ramp up to a more potent version of that than it's ever been. All right, there's going to be justification to roll on people that speak against the small hats. There's going to be justification to roll on people that believe in Yahweh Shem Yahushua. There's going to be justification to roll on people who aren't with the status quo. And we're in the beginnings of that. That's why I did that lesson a couple days ago on Israel's propaganda agency, Lapam, and how they recently signed that $45 million deal with Google to run ads on YouTube, X, and all these different social media platforms to combat all the people that are speaking out against them. Now, if you've been on social media as of late, especially the last year or two, it's almost like this devil has allowed people who are speaking out against the small hats to gain a following, so that the people that subscribe to it, the people that agree with it on social media, the people that repost it and like it, they're going to be using Palantir to put all those people in a category that are against the small hats, that don't believe the lie. All right, it's almost like they let it ramp up to this point so that they can identify who's who, you know, who's down and who's not. But I'm going to go into scriptures, and I did this yesterday. Well, we did it, the brothers. We went into examples on how different decrees went forth in times past to target the believers, to target those that weren't with the status quo, that weren't with the conforming to the image of the beast. Okay, you better be sure that an example that we're going to get in Esther with Haman and that decree that went out to off the people of Israel, that propaganda came with that. You better be sure in the book of Maccabees, when it was made illegal for a man to profess himself a Jew, that propaganda came with that. All right, and propaganda is getting ready to come this go around. All right, so we're going to show the parallels between the two. All right, so we're going to read the book of Esther, the 3rd chapter, and we're going to start here at the top. Okay, and this is in the GNT, as you can see.
Chapter 3. Haman plots to destroy the Jews. Sometime later, King Xerxes promoted a man named Haman to the position of prime minister. Haman...
So he was second in command over the whole kingdom. All right? Second in command over the whole kingdom.
Was the son of Hamadatha, a descendant of Agag.
He was a descendant of Agag. Now, if you all know the scriptures, you know the account. Agag was the title given to the king of the Amalekites, the king of Edom. Okay? So, he was of the royal line of Edom, this guy Haman. Alright? So, best believe in the regeneration, he's one of the elites. He's back here in his lot today, still plotting against the chosen family. Okay? So, Agag was the king that Saul was instructed to kill, which he did it, and Samuel had to kill him.
The king ordered all the officials in his service to show the respect for Haman by kneeling and bowing to him. They all did so, except for Mordecai, who refused to do.
Now Mordecai was a man who was obedient to the Lord's standard, okay? Yeah, he was captive in this empire, of course. But there always comes a time where you have to draw the line. We always, we quote the scriptures, agree with thine adversary while thou are in the way with him. But there's particular lines that we have to draw when it comes to offending our power. And this was a line that, you know, Mordecai had to draw. Now, Haman wanted worship. He specifically wanted worship from an Israelite. Mordecai, he knew Mordecai was an Israelite, right? He wanted him to abase himself. Mordecai was like, no, especially not you, you know? Because back then people looked at, you know, rulers in particular, just they looked at him as a god. You can even say that now, that a lot of Edomites look at Trump as a godly figure. They really look at him as a savior, as a covering. Okay? Mordecai knew better than to look at a man that way, especially an Edomite man, who's a sworn enemy of the nation of Israel. He knew better. This rubbed Haman the wrong way. A current example that comes to mind is when Kyrie tweeted that movie. Everything had to stop until Kyrie abased himself, until Kyrie apologized. Everything had to stop. That's how serious this devil wants you to bend the knee. And he's going to lay it on thick this go around to get all the people, especially of the chosen line, to bend that knee, man. But the elect are not going to do it. And at that point, he's going to seek to slay them the same way Haman sought to slay Mordecai and all the people. Okay? That's why the scriptures talk about him coming in like a madman, sparing none. Let's continue on.
The other officials in the royal service asked him why he was disobeying the king's command. Day after day they urged him to give in, but he would not listen to them.
And it's going to be your family, man, when it comes time to take that chip. They're going to urge you and beg you. Come on, man, you with that stuff, man. Come on, we got to eat. We got to take. It's going to be people that, you know, you're just going to have to separate from. But that's a part of the cost that you've already counted if you're really about this thing. And anybody or anything that you lose here, the Lord already told us that he's going to restore it 100-fold in the regeneration in the kingdom. All right, let's keep going.
I am a Jew, he explained, and I cannot bow to Haman. So they told Haman about this, wondering if he would tolerate Mordecai's conduct. Haman was furious when he realized that Mordecai was not going to kneel and bow to him. And when he learned that Mordecai was a Jew, he decided to do more than punish Mordecai alone. He made plans to kill every Jew in the whole Persian Empire.
So he wanted his get back, because he knew that was the decree that the Lord gave to Samuel and told to Saul that his line was supposed to be blotted out, which didn't happen. And look at the result of it. Look at the result of Saul not being obedient to the Lord. Look at all the chaos that is called. These people are the root of every evil in the earth. Okay? But Haman wanted his get back. So he said, I'm not going to punish Mordecai alone. I'm going to punish the whole nation. Okay? Get these people out of the way. And remember the ultimate motivation of the Edomites. All right? Especially the elites, because they understand the spiritual side of things. There was two people promised worldwide dominion in the scriptures, Jacob and Esau. The difference between the two is that Esau's would be a temporary rulership and Jacob's would be forever. All right? Esau wants our version of the blessing that comes along with immortality, manipulation over the elements, all these things. But it's not for him to have. But he's going to do his damnedest to get it. He's going to do his damnedest to manufacture his own version of it. Best believe it.
In the 12th year of King Xerxes' rule, in the first month, the month of Nisan, Haman ordered the lots to be cast. Purim, they were called, to find out the right day and month to carry out his plot. The 13th day of the 12th...
And the Lord getting us out of this situation, this decree from Haman, became the holiday, our high holy day, Purim. Okay, just for those who don't know.
The month of Adar, was decided on. So Haman told the king, there is a certain race of people scattered all over your empire and found in every province. They observe customs that are not like those of any other people. Moreover, they do not obey the laws of the empire, so it is not in your best interest to tolerate them.
So he depicted them to the king as traitors, treasonous, troublesome, and a stain on the welfare of the people. All right? And Mr. Calvin Klein, the guy that just got offed, that was his vibration. That's all the Edomites' vibration. That's all the rhetoric that they push. But it's going to get pushed thick at a level that you've never seen, okay, in the days to come. But here in the scriptures, here goes Haman, an Edomite, doing the same thing. And the Edomites today are following suit. It's not hard to point out the Edomites.
If it please your majesty, issue a decree that they are to be put to death. If you do, I guarantee that I will be able to put 375 tons of silver into the royal treasury for the administration of the empire. The king took off his...
She's going to kill them, take their resources, their sustenance, and add it to the kingdom. You know, man. Look at the... And he did it under the guise, it's for the people's safety. So when this devil comes in like a madman sparing none, yeah, he's going to come to the point where he's like, fuck how people feel about it. But trust and believe there's going to be propaganda and rhetoric that's forwarded to justify what he's doing. And Esau's taking more and more steps to control the narrative, to control the minds of the people, so that when he does show his horns and use his blessing, which is the sword, that nobody bats an eye at what he's doing, at the evil that he's doing. He's gearing up to make that play.
Ring, which was used to stamp proclamations and make them official, and gave it to the enemy of the Jewish people, Haman, son of Hammedatha, the descendant of Agag. The king told him, "The people and their money are yours. Do as you like with them." So on the 13th day of the first month, Haman called the king's secretaries and dictated a proclamation to be translated into every language and system of writing used in the empire, and to be sent to all the rulers, governors, and officials. It was issued in the name of King Xerxes and stamped with his ring. Runners took this proclamation to every province of the empire. It contained the instructions that on a single day, the 13th day of Adar, all Jews, young and old, women and children, were to be killed. They were to be slaughtered without mercy, and their belongings were to be taken. The contents of the proclamation were to be made public in every province, so that everyone would be prepared when that day came.
So it was, this day was pushed on all 129 provinces? This was issued to the people. What do you think the verbiage was? What do you think the rhetoric was? Because you got to remember that we were scattered throughout this whole empire. You know, people had relationships with Jews, with Israelites. What was Haman doing? What was the rhetoric to get the rest of the heathen on board with this agenda? What was going on? People, you know, for that to really go down and the empire to just be okay with it, the citizens of the empire to be okay with it, it had to be some heavy witchcraft, some heavy spell casting going on the minds of the people. And it also, this is why you shouldn't have pity on the other nations. Okay? They've always been in cahoots with the agenda of the wicked. So they have a judgment that they have to play out and live out too. So, you know, our people so worried about the other nations. They're really worried about Esau. They want Esau to be saved. But all these nations, they got a judgment they got to play out, man. They're guilty too. They've been accomplices to this man's plans. All right, the proof of it, as many of you know, is in Psalms, the 83rd chapter. It lists off all the nations that have been in cahoots with this devil. Okay, until this day. All right? So here, I just wanted to get that decree that went out. Now, if you get the chance, go read the book of Esther yourself. All right? Go read about our family history. Okay? Things written aforetime are written for our learning. forefathers were delivered out of a hectic situation, and we're gonna be delivered out of something far worse. Okay, but I got one more example that I want to get, and it's in the book of Maccabees. And just keep in mind, man, the rhetoric and the propaganda that had to be surrounding that decree that went out from Haman. All right, so upon the Hellenization of our people, that was a big effort for us to dissociate ourselves from the standard that our Father gave us. Okay? Let's read.
Chapter 6. The Jews are persecuted because of their faith. Not long after that, the king sent an elderly Athenian to force the Jews to abandon their religion and the customs of their ancestors. He was also to defile their temple by dedicating it to the Olympian god Zeus. The temple on Mount Gerizim was to be officially named Temple of Zeus.
So they're always going to send some Edomite that seems like he has wisdom, right? They sent the elderly Athenian. It probably was Fauci. Remember in 2020, they sent Fauci to you and he just knew what was best for you. He knew that you needed to take the hokey pokey. And look where that got many of our people. The tactics aren't different. They just get remixed.
The god of hospitality, as the people who lived there had requested. The oppression was harsh and almost intolerable. Gentiles filled the temple with drinking parties and all sorts of immorality. They even had intercourse with prostitutes there. Forbidden objects were brought into the temple, and the altar was covered with detestable sacrifices prohibited by our law. It was impossible to...
They made an environment to where for you to practice righteousness, it would stick out like a sore thumb. They made an environment to where if you were doing righteousness, you became an enemy of the state. And that's the environment that's about to play out here today. Okay? As the scriptures say, he that departeth from evil maketh himself a prey.
Observe the Sabbath, to celebrate any of the traditional festivals, or even so much as to admit to being a Jew. Each month when the king's...
So that is the reality to come. So, like I stated, in the camp yesterday, the Wednesday camp here in Dallas, we did, it was an extended version of this. But, just wanted to do a little recap. Yeah, man. It's definitely going to lay it on thick. And now is the time. Use this grace period to read, to put in practice the things that you're reading so that your faith is built up for the test and you have access to that covering, which is Yahushua. So, Abaratazah, I want to give all praises once more to Yahweh, Bahashim, Yahushai, Bahashim, Rakah Kodash. I want to give double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. I want to say shalom to all the brothers and, of course, the few sisters who are pursuing this truth in sincerity. All right, may the blessing of election be upon your house. Shalom.